Okay, welcome to the tutorial for part C. Here I'm going to show you how we can do some part C. So we start off as normal. We just have the 20 generations. Okay. I'll just go to 14 just so we can see what I'm doing. Now, what we're going to have is the random number generated. Okay. And we said we're going to start with a random population of 1,000. So 1,000 is our beginning population. So we're choosing a random number between 0 and 1,000. Okay, and again, because I haven't finished putting in the formulas, this is going to change basically every time I perform another cell operation. So we have the random number. It's fine, just leave the change as it is. Now, what we're going to have here is the population before death, okay, and then we're going to have the population after death. Okay, now it doesn't really matter what order these columns are in, and then the way you're going to change the death rate, okay, is over here. We're going to have a column called death rate, and I'll show you how we do that in a moment. So now at generation 0, we're saying we started off with 1,000 nerdians, okay? So that was our population after death. Now let's say when the plague hits that the death rate is, let's say it's 40%, okay? So if the death rate is 40%, okay, in this column we want the percentage of nerdians that is kept alive. Okay, so if the death rate is 40%, that means 60% are going to be alive. Now let's say maybe 2% of the population builds up a resistance or immunity to the plague for each generation. So what that means is the death rate is decreasing by 2% each generation. So in these cells following the death rate, we're having a changing death rate, so that more are being kept alive. If 2% less are dying each time, it means 2% more are living. So that means in this cell, we're going to have this is equal to that plus 0.02, plus the 0.02%. Okay, so let's drag that down for our 14 generations. And then you might say, oh, well, 86% was an appropriate death rate. So let's say after 14 generations, after 14 generations, they have the whole population has immunity. Okay, so then the death rate might be 86 from then onwards. Okay, you don't want to have a death rate that goes above, below 0. Okay, that doesn't make sense mathematically. So we have our population before death, okay, and this of course is equal to our population after death from the previous generation plus the random number generated, the random number of new babies, okay. Then we have our death take place, okay, so in the first instance 40% die, okay, so this means we multiply the population before death by the death rate. Really, this should be called a living rate because it's how many continue to live. Okay, but we've got it in there because we're talking about death rate. Okay, so our population after death is this number here. So our new random number is a random number between 0 and our population after death from the previous generation. 7. That's not a great number of new babies to be born. Okay, so then we have our population before death, okay, again, which is our population after death from last time, plus our new random number. So once we've got these formulas in place, we can just drag them down, okay, and it should fix itself up. Okay, so initially we're starting with a population of 1,000. And we see after the first generation, there's a little bit of growth. Okay, we had 60, but then look at this here. Like, because they're random numbers, they start to dwindle, And then it looks like things might start going up again. The population might survive, okay? So you can only check by going to your 20 generations. Okay, look, there we have fairly stagnant, and then it's starting to grow. Okay, so it's up to you how you're going to do this, how you're going to change the death rate, or what you consider to be a appropriate change of death rate. Here, this is very simple, isn't it? You're just adding 2% each time. Maybe you could come up with a function that goes in here. Okay, so up to you. Have a think about it. All right, because what I've shown you here, I don't want you to just copy this. All right, because part C is where you can really show me that you have a good understanding of how you can come up with a function that would affect these populations after and before death. Okay, good luck with it.